Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 222. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, Celtics, Mavs, NBA Finals will be starting in just a couple of days. Knicks, Nets, we know the answer to that. Not either team in the NBA Finals. We will be joined, though, special guest here on tonight's episode, Jake Fischer, senior NBA reporter for Yahoo Sports. If you're new to the podcast, please make sure to rate and subscribe, follow the show, watch it on YouTube, give those likes. You can see some other great interviews like Tracy McGrady, Richard Jefferson, Chris Childs, Kerry Kittles, Meta World Peace, to name a few. But Alex, we've got Jake Fischer on the show coming up in moments. Then we'll get to our NBA Finals picks. How the hell are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to have Jake on. I'm ready for the offseason. Once your team gets eliminated, as you know, you just can't wait for the offseason to start.
Yes.
And I kind of want to fast forward through the NBA Finals, but I'm looking forward to the finals. So, I can't wait to ask Jake a few questions about what's going on with the Knicks and the Nets coming up.
Yes, we'll get our NBA final predictions on the other side. But as promised, here's our conversation with Jake Fischer. Jake Fischer, senior NBA reporter for Yahoo Sports, joins us here on Bad Weather Fans. And before the podcast even started, we were chatting in our pre-production meeting. And of course, my first question is, you excited to go to Dallas? And Jake, I appreciate, as the NBA expert and insider, you allowed me to know that game one is actually being played in Boston. So thanks for that inside scoop on there right away. Correcting.
That's not publicly available information whatsoever. I just thought that after, years of cultivating contacts around the NBA.
Appreciate it. Are you, as you look at this series as a whole, you think we're going to get something that's semi-competitive?
I'm optimistic. I have been lucky that I've been on a lot of different series these playoffs. I started off at the Philly Heat play-in game when I saw Philly, New York, and then I jumped over to OKC and Dallas and got some of Indiana and New York, and then Indiana and Boston. So I feel like I've had a good pulse on from play-in to first round to second round of conference finals, like what the talent level has been this year, what the physicality has been like. And I think Dallas has been as impressive as anyone in the league on both sides of the ball. So to beat Boston, that's what it's going to need, right? There is this historical team that we'll see if the data proves worth a championship, but they were one of the best offensive and defensive teams of all time. So you're going to need that two-way effort. And I've never seen anything really like this, where a team makes such a dramatic personality change at the trade deadline when they weren't even just getting their star, right? They got Kyrie last year at the deadline, but the addition to Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington have really kind of made all these pieces fit.
So you said you covered all the NBA playoffs and a lot of the Knicks Sixers and some of the Knicks Pacers. Just settle a debate for me and Mike and all of Knicks fans, actually. Do you think the Knicks could have made the finals if they were healthy this year?
I think they had a really good chance, if healthy, to battle Boston for sure. They had a pretty similar, I think, roster of wing guys to throw at Tatum and throw at Brown. And when OG Anunoby was fully healthy and they were able to even go small, if that was something that Boston would have switched to, and if it was a thing that proved that, if Julius Randle wasn't capable of handling that, or Isaiah Hartenstein wasn't effective. I think they had the pieces and the depth. New York was a deep team, which is crazy to think about because they were down to 4 people at one point in time. You factor in all the people that were out. I mean, Bojan Bogdanovic doesn't even get discussed as an injury casualty, and he was supposed to be this team's 6th man, basically. So there was a lot of depth on that team when healthy, and I would have been curious to see what different lineups and levers Tom Thibodeau and his staff could have pulled against this team.
Yeah, and speaking of Thibodeau and those Knicks and talking about Hartenstein in particular, you had a really good article that you put out on Yahoo Sports recently, and you talked about the center free agent market So I'll let Alex pivot in a second about the Knicks side of things, but I'm curious as well from a Nets fan perspective, um, what you think the Nets will do with Claxton, just because it's a team that's not winning, but Claxton's going to, demand a little bit of money here. Where you think the Nets go with Clax?
I think it's been pretty widely expected he's going to stick around in Brooklyn. The Nets have just always said they've liked him, and whether that's just like posturing to try to drive up the value of your guy, maybe that's the case. But to me, I don't think it is. Where you go back to a couple of years ago, whatever it was before this current 2-year deal that he signed, I guess it was 2021, whatever that trade deadline was. They got a first round pick offer from him or for him from Toronto and turned that down, paid him. He's only continued to progress. And they keep saying, we love Claxton, blah, blah, blah. The other thing you got to think about that I would suspect has to be part of the calculus there. This is a front office now that is on their fourth coach, and he's really the only like sure first round pick selection that this team has on their resume of like we hit on this guy. And those are tough guys to lose. Those are tough guys to just let walk, especially if you had the capacity to bring them back. So I think all those factors to me make me believe Brooklyn people when they have said all along we want him back. So that's my thought.
And to cross over the Knicks and the Nets, what do you think about Mikal Bridges? Obviously, there's always a lot of smoke there with the Villanova connection. Do you think there's any chance in the world that he's traded to the Knicks? We don't think so, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I would be so surprised, especially, I've reported a bunch about OG Anunoby's contract situation potentially being open-ended, undetermined, whatever word you want to use. It's tricky because of, a lot of these conversations aren't exactly above board. But like sorry, we have a foster dog. If you just heard the
Oh,
dog.
didn't even hear it. No,
No, Alex has a dog. I have a cat. Animals more than
animals
welcome on the
everywhere, and
show.
we
There
have
you go.
kids, so there's everything everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in some scenario where like OG is no longer part of New York, but I'm not expecting that. That's the only scenario I think I could happen, being that the Knicks already sent out Manuel quickly and RJ Barrett to acquire him. Most
Right.
people in the league still believe that he's represented by CAA. Connections there are obvious. Why would there not be some type of synergy to get a deal done there? And I think also like to get Mikal Bridges, Brooklyn's already indicated to teams you're going to have to send 3, 4 first round picks, the equivalent of that. I don't know if the price would still be the same right now after the season he had last year, but that's just capital I think New York thinks about using for Giannis if he were to one day look around and say Milwaukee's not it for me, or Joel Embiid. Part of why they didn't send all those picks out for Donovan Mitchell was the thought that, well, we would still need someone to go be like the guy. And Jalen Brunson has ascended to such a level that at this point where I don't really think you're using those picks unless it's for one of those top MVP caliber guys, but you're going to have to take 4 or 5 picks. So I don't, unless Jalen Brunson says, get me Mikal Bridges or I'm out of here, which also isn't going to happen. This is a long, rambling answer to give a lot of context to say I understand why it's a thing that people will think about, and it could be a possibility as long as those guys are in New York and the Nets are not a championship situation. But I think they look at OG Anunoby as holding that like role that Mikal Bridges would slide into.
Got it. Got it. So with all the connections of the CAA connections and Leon Rose's son and with, everything there with OG. So you assume he's coming back to the Knicks. With Hartenstein, you wrote about the 100 million potentially he's going to get and his stock is rising. Do you think that he has kind of played his way out of New York? It was always a thought that that the deal's already kind of wink wink done, but what do you think has gone on there?
So the 4-100 is not necessarily guaranteed, right?
Hmm.
That's something that I think when I talk to cap people around the league, and when you look at, Jakob Poeltl last year, it's a very similar price point to me, or or was that 2 years ago? Whatever the 4 year, 80 million that Jakob Pearl signed for, like that to me is the exact type of contract that I think and the class of center that Isaiah Hartenstein has established himself as, that I think the league has indicated he is. And it's just a matter of will another team want to pay him that as like a we would think he's worth this for us, but then there's going to be an extra level of, well, if you really want me, 8 million more than what the Knicks can pay me, where I can stay in a situation that I love, isn't really going to be doing enough for me. So if you really want me, can we get to 90? Can we get to 100? And that's when that conversation starts to shift to that part of the ballpark. We'll see. I mean, this stuff can only legally be discussed, of course, come June 30th at 6 p.m. So we'll find out exactly what happens. But also, these things can shift. So one team might have a certain couple of centers. Let's say a team has Jared Allen on their board as he's our top center we're going after, and the Cavaliers just decide, no, we're not trading for him. Like that could change. Someone could get injured, blah blah blah. There's kind of these domino effect musical chair things that free agency in the offseason kind of always follow. And this year will be, I think, more interesting in the fact that the draft is happening 3 or 4 days before free agency starts. Typically, the draft is a Thursday, like June 23rd, and we have about a week off to hear, the Ducks to get lined up in a row and stuff like that. The fact that it's happening so close, I am wondering how much the trade activity, especially this year, we have the first instance of teams being able to negotiate with their own free agents after the finals. So will some contracts happen? Will Isaiah Hartenstein, to bring this answer to a close, only be getting 70 or of the 72 or whatever the number is because the Knicks have bigger plans, blah, blah, blah. And there starts to be some back channeling word that, oh no, maybe you could get 95 here. That stuff might change and, things could happen, which sounds such a hedge, but it just is the case when the draft and that trade window is literally right up against the clock.
We had a Twitter question come in from Brooklyn Nets at Brooklyn Nets 85. If Donovan Mitchell is not on the table as a trade option, how realistic is it that the Nets would pivot, move Mikal to Houston, try to get some of their control back, get the picks back that they gave up in the Harden deal?
I always say, like, when something was discussed at the previous transaction cycle, so when Houston and Brooklyn did have those conversations about Mikal and various versions of that, it's easy to pick up the phone again and say, hey, remember how we were talking about that? What about this? So I certainly think there's a possibility that Houston and Brooklyn could come to terms with something on Mikal Bridges at some point in time. However, I don't think those talks got very far in terms of things that like Brooklyn was really wanting to do, as opposed to just like, well, let's just listen, let's think about it. Because I think there's a real expectation for Brooklyn to try to not like compete for a title, but really get this thing back to a competitive environment with like Jordy Fernandez has postseason experience on the Kings bench last year with Denver previously, coaching Canada in the World Cup to a gold medal, or excuse me, a bronze medal. So he's both young, but a chess matchy kind of experienced guy. They have some pieces in mind. The Nets were always kind of hoping that they would not fully rebuild and they could keep this thing kind of afloat in the 6 to 8 seed range while they then, build back up again. So to me, a rebuild like that would be a very drastic pivot if a deal with Houston happened. And I think Houston probably, from my conversations, values Mikal a little bit less than when those conversations were happening, just based off of how this year unfolded. I think it would be more of like a hybrid, are you getting other players back type of thing. I don't think the Nets would ever move him at this juncture to pull the rug out and start fresh.
Got it. Got it. And last one from a Nick fan on Twitter at RudeboyMYK. How likely do you think the Knicks will draft someone with one or both of their first round picks this coming draft? Because obviously they've been punting or not taking
Yeah.
picks the last couple of years.
At this stage, my understanding is to expect a similar thing, that could they make a pick? Can they trade a pick for a future pick type situation? There's definitely word that both New York's picks, but it's 24, 25. Is that what it is?
Some around there. Yeah.
Two picks back to back in the mid to early
Yeah, in
20s.
the 20s, yeah.
Definitely word around the league that they're looking to move those, but it's going to be harder, I think, than ever the last couple of years, the time period of this Knicks front office to trade a pick in this year's draft for a future draft. Because while I always say, and there's definitely plenty of people in the league who say, there's always good players to be taken, blah, blah, blah. There's no Victor Wembanyama in this class. There's no Zion Williamson in this class. There's no Cooper Flag and, the Cam Boozers in upcoming things. And there's just a lot of expectation and excitement about at least the next 2 year draft classes, let alone what could be, a 2028 pick and so on and so forth. So I'm curious the teams that in the past have just been like, oh yeah, we'll trade down. I think the Knicks were the team that Charlotte, for example, traded back into the first to draft Kai Jones at 18, however many years ago. Like, I don't know how many of those circumstances are going to be there unless there's like a guy that really fell that a team like that stuff to me seems like a draft night type thing. Oh, this guy we had in the lottery is still available at 24.
Jake, I have to know on like draft night for when
Yeah,
free agency happens, how how is it possible to have that much information coming in on a cell phone and then also like tweeting it or right like I am my wife will tell me I'm not a great multitasker. How do you do that? Like it's incredibly impressive just to get all that information
I
and
thought
turn
that
it. It's I'm like that is a skill.
Your drafts must be crazy.
we do. My girlfriend calls it NBA manic, like the week of the draft and free agency and stuff. I'm like chain smoking and like kind of have like a carry in Homeland board in my brain, like not in real life. And I definitely like on draft night, I'll have the broadcast up on the TV. I'll have TweetDeck up, and I have it's so much more effective and efficient to text with the messages app on your laptop, and you can like copy and
Mm.
paste the thing. Like if someone says, "Oh, like Golden State's looking at Brandon Pajemski at 19," I can like text teams picking 20 through 25 because I can just put it on my computer. But then like you've got certain people who want to talk on WhatsApp and on Signal. And one guy last year I remember I was messaging with on Snapchat because certain people have different sensitivities to like
I want to
trying to
track it. Yeah.
put themselves in their employer, yeah, and stuff like that. So it does get a little hectic, but the draft I love the most than anything because there's an order, right? I think sometimes to like, doing a lot of appearances such as this, like I will explain things in funny analogies. And to me, like the transaction stuff, they do kind of resemble like grade school style quizzes and tests. So like the trade deadline and free agency, I always say are more of like that column A, column B activity where you have to draw a line, but there's always extra on both sides, right? Like you don't always have an even match because Kyle Kuzma doesn't always get traded. You know what I mean? But in the draft, there's 1 through 60, or this year 1 through 58 because of the two picks, and everyone in the league is trying to figure out what's happening at those picks because something will happen. So to be able to solve that problem in real time, I think it helps figure out and sift through the information because, like I just said, if you get info at number 11, well, that's relevant to teams 12 through 30, particularly relevant between teams 12 and 14. And then if you can find out that a team at 13 is talking to team at 17, then like they're all those chains kind of connect, and that's how we do
That's
it.
hilarious. Yeah, we always joke about how like major reporters like you or just in the NBA or even NFL or anywhere, just what's in their drafts. And we can make a whole documentary about what ifs in just people's drafts and Twitter and stuff like that. But so that'd be fun one day. But thank you so much for coming on, Jake. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully to have you on again, Bad Weather Fans, one other time or 10 other times. So thanks a lot for that.
Nice. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again to Jake Fischer, senior NBA reporter for Yahoo Sports. Alex, I was curious. just on those draft nights, just the craziness that ensues. Because I don't know how you have to be so organized, and you just can't fuck up. I mean, to do that stuff is crazy.
Yeah, you can be John Heyman and be like Arson Judge. It's
That
traded
was
to the
bad. That was
signed with the
bad.
Giants or things like that. It just shows how great Jake is at his job and other big reporters because
Sure.
to not make mistakes, to not jump the gun on things that you know is coming or you may not come, or it's like 95% done and then doesn't get done and you can't report it, you're not allowed.
Sure.
Like it was great that Jake gave us a little insight to that. And he also gave us a little insight to the Knicks on draft night where they're likely not going to make any picks this coming draft, which is kind of their thing. It's worked so far. So, we'll see how that goes. I would prefer for them to take a rookie, at least one in the first round, especially late in the first, early second, where they've been kind of good at that with Quickly and Grimes and McBride, and Sims is okay, and you have Rokas coming, maybe he's okay, I don't know, but there's all those guys there that maybe you can get, but like Jake said, maybe this draft is just not that highly touted. And
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks aren't in a position where they're going to I mean, the Knicks barely play veterans. Like, Tibbs ain't playing no rookies for a team that's in a title spot now. No
yeah,
shot. I mean, look at the trajectory of
it's
this.
also a cap thing too, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm just thinking of like, we drafted this guy, and they're like, there's no chance. I
Yeah.
mean, just based on the Knicks being a team that, as Jake said, fully healthy, they're contending for a championship. Although I do think they should make a deal and go all in, if they can, if it's possible.
Who? No,
Like who?
Nobody knows. The magical star. They got to save those picks for a star. Like Jake said, you need those 3-4 picks for a star, and you
They're
don't want to trade
running
them
it
for
back.
anything. Which he's
They're gonna
right,
run it
but
back.
who's the guy? It's always been who's the guy? Who's the guy? Who's the guy? Was it
They
Donovan
got
Mitchell
so-
was the guy? They didn't do it, and it's just all right. Well, it's still worked out, but that was the guy.
They got so goddamn lucky. I'm sorry.
Who, the Knicks? With Jalen Brunson? Yeah.
If
nobody knew
Jalen-
he'd be this great. Yes, that's
Right.
for sure.
Like
But
if Jalen Brunson was on this podcast, I couldn't. To be fair, I wouldn't be like, you so goddamn lucky. Like I would never say that. The guy's put in so much hard work, and he's amazing, right?
it's not luck. Luck is the residue of design.
So
as
I
Brand
want
Tricky
to. I
would
want
say.
to.
Yeah.
The Knicks got lucky in the sense that they signed somebody that I said it's James Harden 2.0. I mean, it really is.
Mhm.
Not maybe the same exact player and different styles, but Harden left Oklahoma City. It was good. He was the sixth man, and then he got to Houston and the beard. I mean, it's the same thing.
Or
really
it's the Mavericks thing. Steve Nash leaving the Mavericks and going to the Suns and
Yeah,
becoming
that
an
too.
MVP. He was great on the Mavs, but he wasn't the MVP. You know what I mean? Which
Or Kyrie Irving leaving the Nets and going to Dallas.
leaving the Nets and going to Dallas. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, that's revisionist history with Kyrie. I mean, he had to go. The Nets fans can dwell on that all they want and act like it's Josiah's fault. It's Kyrie's fault. I mean, he made his own bed, but that's another conversation for another time.
I have no interest in attempting that conversation. I've seen it.
I had enough. That's enough.
I've seen it. It's like, let's bring it up and battle it again and bring up what happened and the timeline of this. I mean, I said you have.
How many episodes do you think we did on that? Maybe 50?
I don't know, man. It's crazy.
50 episodes on Kyrie's nonsense.
It is wild though to see him just
excelling
and just getting this team where, think about that trade. It was Dorian Finney-Smith, who I believe will be dealt. But I did not ask that to Jake, but I think all the indications are the DFS is gone. Dinwiddie was traded for Dennis Schroeder, and it's that whatever the pick is, 28 or 29, first round unprotected. So that's it, man. That's it. And Kyrie, look at the Mavs. They lose Jalen Brunson. Everybody's like, oh no, what'd they do? But I mean, if you're in the NBA Finals, if they win a championship, there's just.
Well, it's like Rudy Gobert with the Timberwolves. That was the worst trade ever, but they're in the Western Conference Finals and we're the Jazz. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You have to see what happens with trades. And, the other cool thing that Jake Fischer said, we asked him the obvious Mikal Bridges, Villanova connection trade to the Knicks. He said the only way that it'll happen is if OG doesn't stay with the Knicks, which he doesn't think will happen. He thinks he's going to stay. So That we can put that to bed. That's so it's just we need to stop talking about that completely.
It's frustrating to hear how much the Nets are in love with Nic Claxton because they just don't win with it. I mean, he has moments.
He's a good
But
piece, but like, what
I
is
like
it?
to me, like get if he's in Oklahoma City, a team that's right there. But for a Nets team, I mean, the only thing I will say, and I know you don't want to believe me, but that combination of Claxton Clowney did look good. So I would be curious to see that
Obi
because that.
Clowney? Yeah, I know.
Oh man, I can't. That does intrigue me,
Just
but I don't know.
we
Hey,
have an inside
you
joke
can make
for
your
people who are
Obi.
just listening.
You can
I
make your.
call Noah Clowney Obi Toppin at the end of Knicks seasons for Mike's Nets. But
You
the
can
other
make.
interesting thing was what he said that Mikal Bridges' value has taken a hit this year.
Yeah.
How like the Rockets don't value him as much either, and that's something that Nets fans like you were on Keith McPherson's Nets podcast with Talking Nets, and I heard you guys talk about that, and they were like, you guys were all like, why didn't we make this trade back? Like, you know what I mean? What are we doing? And now it's if you want to make the trade, it's not going to be this for the same value. And I know that trade came out where it wasn't what it was initially reported. It was kind of like, a game of
Well,
telephone where it kind of like wasn't really the picks. I don't know. You can explain that better than I can, I
well,
guess.
the Nets just need to pick a direction of where they want to go. Do they want to full rebuild, or do they want to, like Jake said, stay afloat in the 6 to 8 range, which they didn't. They were
Mm.
terrible. But then try to add Donovan Mitchell, try to add Darius Garland, like whatever that is. But like obviously, if the Nets made something where they improved their roster and there was anything's better than this year, we'd enjoy it and I'd be in it as a fan. But um, there's just nowhere to go. They don't have their picks. They got to bank on the Suns picks. No, unfortunately, this is the most optimistic time, exciting time to be a Nets fan right now because they're not playing. They're awful. And they've got all these uh, different directions they can go to. I will say this, even if they pick the direction that's just kind of the short fix and they get better, at least it's a direction. That they can't just stay where they are and like let's hope for internal development with this roster. It's not going to happen, and until Ben Simmons is off the books, um, that's just a huge cap hit. And anybody, please, I beg of anybody, like you, Ben Simmons is not on this team. You can't even pretend that he is. He's
Doesn't
gonna play.
exist. Yeah,
He'll
he doesn't.
play some games, but it's gonna be between 7 and 12 games, and it's over. So just
He's going to
whatever that
facilitate a
is.
trade for something, or he's going to expire. That's either one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And I know you had that you tweeted about like Zach LaVine as an option, and I responded to you. I'm not sure if you saw it, but to
No,
me, it doesn't fit the net. I was against this word last year, but I'm bringing it in this year. Timeline wise, to bring Levine in and acquire essentially Ben Simmons' contract 3 more years. It's like just get that money out of here, and
right.
just restart.
Get some young guys, get some your Hartenstein in there or an OG kind of guy in there, like mid, good, not mid, but you know what I mean, mid to high
Yeah,
mid tier players in there and build a roster. You're
right.
saying instead of just getting that other guy who's a massive
Build a
contract,
roster.
even if Zach LaVine healthy is an all star. So but is he healthy is the question. And he
And
never
you
is.
know what's
So
gonna happen. Who do you
he'll
like in
play
the
a
NBA
year.
Finals?
I like Boston. I think Boston in 6, to be honest. I think, I hate that I'm saying this right now and, wash my mouth out with soap. But Porzingis coming back, is
Big,
going to be a major, major factor. And, you know, just like Jake said, PJ Washington, and Gafford at the trade deadline was huge for Dallas,
right?
but Porzingis is better than those guys. You know what I mean? And Brown and Tatum, I know Kyrie's been in the finals a million times, so like experience is one thing, but like Luka's never been in the finals, and I don't think he's not the kind of guy
No,
that's it's gonna be too big for him. He's gonna excel. But you know what? I just feel like Boston is too deep, and with Drew Holiday as a champion, it's I don't know, man. Derek White, Celtics have a lot of guys that do the little things, and our guy Josh Hart said, Derek White is more valuable in crunch time than Jason Tatum, and of course
mm-hmm.
ESPN runs with it of the, you know, Josh Hart says Derek White's better than Jason Tatum. And it's like that's not what I said, dude. So that's just funny to me. That's a little sidebar, but yeah, I think the Celtics in 6. What do you think?
I've waffled back and forth. My first instincts were this is going to be Boston to win it. Them healthy, a team that won 64 games in the regular season. They steamrolled in the playoffs. They went 12-2. They swept the Pacers, 4-1 versus Miami, and then 4-1 in their previous series. So it just, man, it's just hard to pick against that. But I have watched more Dallas Maverick fucking basketball in the last 3 weeks than I have in my entire life. And they are the ultimate team. Irving and Luka down the stretch are impossible to deal with. Lively has been incredible for them inside. And, can they put multiple defenders on Boston with Kristaps back is so difficult because they have so many options there. Man, in my head, I do this game where I'm like, when I see the series over, what do I envision as the storyline? And I got to be honest, Alex, I see Kyrie holding up the trophy in Boston in 7 in this sick, twisted, demented ending. I don't know. For some reason, I see that ending happening where he is holding that trophy in Boston. It is one of the strangest sights.
That'd be so
depressing
weird.
sights for a net fan to see that. To see as a net fan, if you were to see Kyrie Irving holding a trophy for the Mavs in Boston,
Ugh.
fucking freaky.
Think about it from a Knicks fan perspective. Porzingis. You tell a Knicks fan in 2017 that in 2024, Porzingis is going to win a championship with Boston. You would have been like, shut the hell up. Like, no chance. Like, what are you talking about? In Boston, like, no, we would never trade him there. Well, you didn't have to. You traded him to Dallas, and then he went to Washington, and now he's with Boston. Like, so it's just that. Just imagine, like, Porzingis is the face of the franchise for the Knicks, and the excitement level is at an all time high, and then all of a sudden, gets hurt. He demands a trade. The story. And now we're here. It's crazy, dude. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is on the Mavericks. That's I'm looking forward to.
He doesn't play as much.
I know. I'm just kidding. But hey, like I said on this podcast a couple weeks ago, it's been out there as well. I'm not the only one saying it. Another NBA Finals where a Nick or a current or ex Nick has played in the NBA Finals, and now there's several. There's can you name all of them? Actually, the
explain this again. Explain this again.
A current or ex Nick, or played for the Knicks eventually. Like, let's say it was the first NBA Finals. You know what I mean? Like, they've been on the Knicks. Somebody who's been on the Knicks has been in every single NBA Finals ever.
Okay.
Can you name
them all? No.
No, not every single Knick.
Definitely not.
I mean, in the NBA Finals this year, who are the ex-Knicks in the NBA Finals this year? First, start with Boston. Try to think. Obviously,
year,
Porzingis.
Uh-huh. Al Horford.
No.
Porzingis. So there's more than one.
There's 3 Celtics.
All right, so
there's one you won't get is Svi Maklaka.
Okay.
That was on the Knicks for 5 minutes. Okay, so
okay.
There's one guy you could get. He was like he was on with some bad Knick teams.
My brains. I won't waste the
so you got
time.
Luke Cornett.
Okay,
and then on the Mavericks, I said it already.
Tim Hardaway. Yeah,
Tim Hardaway Jr. So there you go.
And
then you also have Jeff Van Gundy, who's in the Celtics front office, and Rolando Blackman.
Gundy
is on the Mavericks. Yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy's in the Celtics office?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I don't know, man. You don't follow the NBA. What do you want me to tell you?
I clearly not.
Google it. I swear to God. Google it. And you'll see Jeff Van Gundy in a Celtics t-shirt. It makes me want to vomit. It's probably
serious? Worse. Why have I missed this?
I'm serious. It's just hilarious because ABC fired him from doing the NBA Finals and the Big One games, the number 1 team, because they thought he was going to get an NBA head coaching jobs. They hired Doc Rivers, who left halfway through the year, and now JJ Redick is going to leave also, probably go to the Lakers. So that's their karma. And Jeff Van Gundy, yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy might join Joe Mazzulla's coaching staff next season, rumors.
No, well, he's in the front office now. He's like a player or something.
But there's a rumor that he would join the coaching staff is what I'm reading.
That's big, but whatever. I don't know what his position is, but if you're on Google, you can.
I don't like this at all. This ruined my night.
Why?
And I hate the Knicks more than anybody, and this bothers me too.
It's like, why is he on the Celtics? Why didn't the Knicks give him a job? But it's whatever. I don't know.
Weird.
It
I don't know if
is.
I
It
like that.
is. It is. And like I said, Rolando Blackman is also in the Mavericks front office, and Derek Harper probably. I think does he still do commentating for the Mavericks? I don't know, but
I'm not sure.
whatever. We've gone so far off the topic, it
All
doesn't
right.
matter. Do you want to do jersey number trivia quickly from
Let's do
Dolan J
it.
Trump? So Dolan J Trump at Dolan_J_Trump jersey number trivia. He gives us on Twitter. That's his at or X. He gives me Nets topics and with a jersey number, and Mike has to guess the Nets player, and this vice versa for Mike for me to guess the Knicks player. So who do you want to go first? Do you want to go first, or
I'll
you
read
want me to?
first.
Okay, go ahead.
He played 13 seasons in the NBA, 4 of them wearing blue and orange. He played with the Knicks from 1988 until 1992, appearing in 191 games and making 85 starts at the forward position. With the Knicks, he averaged 11 points, but he was a career 20 points per game scorer. His career also
I know it. Go ahead, keep going. That's my
career
buzzer.
also featured stops in Portland, Denver, Los Angeles with the Clippers. He was the 11th overall pick in the 1980 draft after attending the same university as Ed O'Bannon, Kevin Love, and Aaron Aflalo. He wore number 80 with the Knicks. He wore number 55.
Kiki Vandeweghe.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. That wasn't what I buzzed in, so it's a good thing I didn't guess.
What did
I
you
thought it
buzz
was
in?
Tony Campbell for a second. I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh wait, no.
You pivot. Okay. So
See?
then when did you know it? At the very end?
At the very end, when you said the 55
So you don't
officially
get
gave it
it.
away.
That doesn't
What?
count. Oh, seriously.
But I changed my answer in my head.
But
I
you
still
didn't
got
get it
it
at the buzz.
when I
That
buzzed
doesn't
in.
count.
Oh, I think we tweet us at Bad Weather Fans and
doesn't
let us
count.
know if that counts or not. I
Doesn't
think it
count.
counts. Okay, where is his text message?
It's on your phone.
There it is. Thank you. Okay. He sent me one and then he said, no, use this one. So he sent me two.
Ugh.
Okay. He played, by the way, I think you're going to get this. And don't forget the buzz. He played 11 seasons in the NBA with 2 of those. You got it? 11 seasons in the NBA? That's it. You're done. He played 11 seasons in the NBA with 2 of those in the swamps that became the American Dream Mall.
All right, 11 years. He doesn't say the years. 2 with the Nets. Okay, not enough info.
With the Nets, he appeared in 18 games and made 2 starts at center during the 97 and 98 seasons.
I think I know it.
Is it an official buzz or is it like a half a buzz? That's a half a buzz. So it's not a buzz
Can I whisper it to you in his ear? I think I know it.
His career also featured stops in Orlando, Miami, Golden State, and he had a career average of 15 points and 9.5 rebounds.
Say the teams again. My answer was wrong. It was
Orlando, Miami, and Golden State.
Orlando, Miami.
Don't guess.
Only 18 games
for the Nets. Yes,
that was it.
And made 2 starts at center.
Nah, it can't be him because he was better than that.
He was acquired by the Nets in a deal with Orlando that featured Kevin Edwards, David Benoit, and the late Yinka Dare. By the way, are you impressed I didn't say David Benoit?
Yeah, I am. I went to a Nets camp as a kid in 99. No, 98. And David Benoit was there. I have his autograph.
So. Oh, nice. You would.
That's like Kevin Edwards at Baumgart's in Englewood for those Jersey people.
It's exciting.
Okay, 97. So 97, he was traded to the Nets. Man, I'm having fun with this. I don't know it yet. 18 games.
Yeah, you would. If you don't get this, you're going to get mad.
I bet.
He attended the same university as John Wallace, Derek Coleman, and Mini Mike Biseglia, and was the 9th pick in the 1988 draft. So 9th.
I thought it was him. I thought he played more games than that.
Is this an official buzz? Are you buzzing?
I was. My original buzz was
With the Nets, he wore number 2, and the answer is Mike.
Ronnie Cycli.
Correct. Who is a DJ? You said
who is
now,
a DJ?
Right?
He is a DJ.
Like not like a radio DJ, like a DJ in a club,
like
right?
Spinning clubs. Yes, when I worked at CBS. We wanted to get him on the morning show. He declined.
So CBS Sports Radio, he declined your interview request.
Greg Giannotti was obsessed with him and wanted to get him on because he was like
why?
Into him. Because he loved the fact
because
that
of the Miami
Heat
days and stuff.
Was all of a sudden a DJ and he wanted to interview him about it. And he said,
just
his
a
agent
quick,
said
like
no.
a wild, like career change going from like Ronnie Cycli to
kind of. And he
It's
said,
a
no.
great DJ name, by the way. Just he doesn't have to make it like DJ Ronnie S. Like it's like Ronnie Cycly. Like this is me on the ones and twos. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised. See, I thought I had it, but it was my first guess was Jim McElvain. That was wrong. My second one, I thought it was Cycly, but I'm surprised that he only started twice for the Nets. I feel like it would have, but I guess he was at the very end of his career and he wasn't the same player. So that makes sense.
That
Yeah,
does.
Cycly.
That does. Yeah.
I like
Ronnie
that Dolan
Cycly.
went a little more old school. That's more fun than
Right. The 2000s are boring. We need like in early
Yeah.
90s, late 80s, like he did.
I like the
it's a
challenge.
good.
Yeah, it just helps.
Yeah.
It's more interesting for me, and it's all about me.
And Kiki Vandeweghe, where is he now, Mike? Do you know?
It was in the NBA front offices doing
Yeah,
stuff.
he was for a while. I was asking because I acted like I knew, but I forgot where he was when
You Google that.
question.
I just Googled Jeff Van Gundy, and I'm out of Googles tonight.
Oh, he's an advisor for the NBA front office now. So, but he's been around the block.
He lives in Secaucus.
Where is he from, Mike? Germany. Did you know that? Okay. Anyway,
no. All right, Bad Weather fans, episode 222. Rate, subscribe, follow the show. We appreciate all of the support. We got a lot of fun guests that we're trying. We are we've reached out to some people that we think you'd like. We haven't maybe gotten the responses we wanted yet.
Gonna be a fun summer. Well, Jake came on. That was
Jake
good.
came on. That's true. Yes,
yeah.
Appreciate.
This is a big guest. Jake is awesome.
I know. I'm just saying we're teasing.
Don't shit on us, man. Like, give us some props, bro. We've been doing our thing.
All right, I got imposter.
We haven't had a lot of guests on lately. I have a newborn. My son Shy is turning 1 tomorrow, or whenever you're listening to this today on June 4th. So happy birthday to you, son. Proud of you, even though you can't understand what I'm saying yet. But one day maybe you'll listen to episode 222.
More than you think. He understands more than you. I mean, I don't know if he understands.
In 15 years, he'll find episode 222 and he'll be like, "Oh, hey, Dad shouted me out." That's great. And so yeah,
you don't want him listening to anything you said.
No. Delete my Twitter before he finds it.
Oh,
but we're gonna have a lot of guests on. We haven't had a lot of guests on over the NBA season because I had the newborn. Mike has the 2 young kids also, but now summertime, it's less structured. We're gonna have some fun guests for you guys.
Less structured. We just don't care about our kids.
Whatever. We don't care about our kids anymore. No, it's just there's no basketball games to watch. It's just like
true.
Okay, kids are asleep. 9:00. Let's get it on. Like, let's go.
Oh,
yeah. Let's.
All right.
Peace. 22 twos. I'm out.
Bye.